Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Rank, where I climb the Online Series 9 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. Today we are starting Series 9, which is actually the exact same rule set as Series 7, which we played for a couple of months in, I think, November, December, and January. So I actually did about like 80 episodes of Road to Ranked for Series 7, and all of those videos are still somewhat relevant, but of course, the metagame is going to develop in these next couple of months. One thing that's interesting about all these rotating formats is that by only playing a couple of months, the metagame doesn't develop as much as you'll typically see across over a year, for example. So one thing, for example, in Series 9 that I think might be a little bit interesting now that people didn't really do back in Series 7 is like playing towards physical or just in general Dynamax Regieleki more. That felt like a tech that really came out late Series 8, and that could actually still be relevant in Series 7/9. So either way, I think that while you can obviously try out all the teams that we had used previously, the metagame might evolve and develop a little bit, especially in these upcoming weeks, but it is interesting to re-explore a format that we have already played. So I figured to kick things off, this would really be the best time to feature the team that got number 1 on the ladder last time this format was around. So that would have been the ranked season in January. This team was built by a player, a Japanese player called Takuto, and I have linked his Twitter and a rental and a paste for this down in the description below. By the way, if you are feeling lost, you don't know what to use for Series 9, Victory Road has an amazing resource just with tons of rental teams for Series 9. So I've also linked that in the description below. Feel free to try it out. There are so many different teams that you can really get started with, and these are all really competitively viable teams as well. They're built by top players, have had really top performances in the format. So yeah, just wanted to recommend some resources for all of you that are starting out. And I'm going to be a little bit rusty just because we spent so long playing Series 8 in these last couple of months, and this is obviously quite a different format. So even though we're returning to something that we've done before, definitely might take me a little bit to get acclimated once again to it. So let's talk about this team for a little bit and then just get started with today's games. I think this team is pretty interesting, right? There aren't any crazy surprises, and it was still consistent enough to finish number 1 on the ladder. And I think that's the main thing, right? Consistency. You have a lot of potential strong setup, especially Weakness Policy and Nasty Plot, Moltres. I mean, once again, we've seen this Pokemon before. This is something that can just get to theoretically +5 special attack in one turn if you somehow get Plot Policy and the Berserkle activated on one turn. But in general, it is just something that can set up very, very quickly. Calm Mind Leftovers, Fini, Classic, Grimmsnarl for screens to support those. I really like Thunder Wave as well. I mean, we've seen Thunder Wave, we've seen Scary Face, we've seen Trick Lagging Tail. Those are all viable options of speed control. But of course, with Thunder Wave, you also have the full para chances. That's incredibly valuable, especially against Dynamax Pokemon. If you T-Wave them on turn 1 as they Dynamax, it can be a little frustrating for your opponent to play through all of those paras. And I think people don't expect Thunder Wave as much as Trick Lagging Tail or Scary Face, for example. Assault Vest Metagross, typically Metagross likes running Weakness Policy, but with Moltres running it, you have the AB on it here. Babiri Sylveon with Yawn. So this one's interesting because this was actually a set that was kind of common in the start of VGC 2020, about a year ago, right? And people had been using Sylveon because it gets good damage with Hyper Voice. Yawn is a move that I think has really been a little bit underplayed, and we actually saw it come out in full force in the Players' Cup 3 in Series 8. Finals where people were using Yawn once again on Pokemon like Torkoal and Umbreon, for example. So I think Yawn is just really nice. With the Babiri Berry, Sylveon doesn't get one-shot by too many things that aren't max moves, and then the Babiri also helps it survive Steel-type attacks. And then finally, Spectrier. Spectrier is interesting because in Series 7/9, a lot of people use it offensively. You'll sometimes see defensive Spectrier as well, especially with Weakness Policy Metagross, right? One thing that's funny about this team is that your opponents will see Spectrier Metagross. They might be afraid of the Bulldoze combo, but then instead, it's actually the Moltres with the Weakness Policy. So often, you can use the element of surprise here and kind of bait your opponent into thinking they're going to go up against something that's not actually there. So this is pretty classic support Spectrier, just instead of Bulldoze, since there's no need for it here, you have this Snarl instead. So, that's it for this team, and let's just get started with today's episode. Thanks so much, as always, for watching Road to Rank. If you enjoy, please share your support by leaving a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. And thanks again, once again, to Kudo for the team. So, let's get started. Kicking things off here, and oh my gosh. That's a way to start things. I mean, we don't even see any of these typically, so that is... I mean, Great Ball and Ultra Ball tier always hits different. And of course, it's a brand new rank season, so that's why we're starting where we are, but... what in the world? These teams are always the scariest, though, because you have no idea what to expect. I don't know what the strategy is here from anything. Take me back to like 2015 though. I would, like, if I were to see this, I would expect like Mega Kangaskhan, Mega Blaziken, Mega Aerodactyl. So okay. My approach is to slow like Blaziken down potentially with T-Wave, set of screens up. We can burn a lot of things with Will-O-Wisp here, especially because my opponent's team is pretty physical. Support Spectre here is actually really nice. They have 2 electric types. I don't know about Fini. The thing you have to be watch out for, by the way, if you're using this team, like, you know, while I was getting into the hang of things with it, is you have to be careful because you have T-Wave and Will-O-Wisp on Grimmsnarl and Spectre respectively. So if you bring out Fini and set up the terrain, that can be detrimental towards you. So make sure you get your status conditions off before you do that. I don't know, Sylveon looks kind of nice here damage-wise. I don't really have any resist to it. So then the question is, who do I want to max? Metagross or Moltres? I feel like Moltres under screens here should just demolish my opponent, because you'll just end up activating the weakness policy. So let's go with that. Either way, that has to be one of the most exciting teams we've seen in a while. I don't know, I always love seeing like really obscure, you know, Pokemon that don't see very much usage. It's really interesting though, because like typically comps like that, like, you know, you'll see like 1 or 2 obscure Pokemon, the rest are like, you know, built around supporting those Pokemon. Here, I just, like I said, I don't know what the strat is. I mean, this screams like Discharge to me early on, right? I could pretty easily start off the game though with Light Screen and Snarl. That seems okay. Yeah, I mean, once we start off with Light Screen, I think that's already valuable for us. And one, I think this is actually a pretty strong lead for this team in general, because the idea is basically to decrease your opponent's special attack early, get screens up, and then Moltres can just get a free Nasty Plot off. So, okay, yeah, they're just going to use Discharge, which makes sense. The only thing I have to worry about with this is full Paras, and that's actually a pretty scary reality right now. Yep, there we go. And they go for Eerie Impulse, okay, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, this isn't really meant to do that much damage, so I'm okay with that. Although, it reveals to me Lanturn actually has Eerie Impulse, so... we definitely want to Spirit Break here into Heliolisk. I don't really want to switch out into either of these, because I really don't want to get paired right now. Yeah, I don't mind just going for a Spirit Break here on a Heliolisk and a Snarl. Heliolisk is not exactly the bulkiest Pokemon, but this lead is just kind of annoying. I think, like... Oh, they actually switch out, okay. That's a good switch into Blaziken. The thing is, now I can just Will-O-Wisp into Blaziken to slow it down, so I'm not that worried about that. It's probably their best Dynamax threat here, though, honestly. We're still faster than Lanturn, which is also kind of nice. So I can taunt it next turn to prevent it from Eerie Impulse onto Moltres, which is actually a really big deal. And the thing is, yeah, I think Blaziken's actually maybe one of their better max threats, so they just switched it into a really tough spot. And they have, wow, it's T-Wave, Eerie Impulse, Lefty's Lanturn. We actually get a dodge, which is kind of fortunate. And it's, yeah, okay, very interesting. Let's Reflect here, and let's go for a Taunt onto the Lanturn. Like I said, this game is just all about setting up Moltres. Which is kind of funny, because I was like debating who I should have brought as my last one in team preview, but I think Moltres is such like a key component to this team. They don't max Blaziken, which is smart. I think at this point they've realized they've taken too much damage, so it's not exactly the strongest max option. Oh, that's interesting though. Okay, that's another reason to not need to max. As we talk about setup right now, it's like they just brought out their setup user, so that's pretty neat. Okay. Yeah, and they're gonna try to Thunder Wave again. So the thing is, now I can Thunder Wave Blaziken and Shadow Ball it. I guess Shadow Ball's not really doing very much damage, though. Blaziken is scary. It does have the Swords Dance boost, but Lanturn's not really threatening me very much right now. We have a free T-Wave into Blaziken and a free Shadow Ball into that slot as well. But Swords Dance Blaziken definitely accelerates it, so... I wasn't sure what the strat was coming into this, but this is actually a really cool Lanturn set. I mean, Thunder Wave and Eerie Impulse in general are just great supportive attacks. It's actually pretty difficult for me to actually knock out Lanturn in this game. So they're going to switch out and go out into Kangaskhan. Okay, so Scrappy we have to watch out for. Scrappy Fake Out potentially. They're going to max Blaziken, so if we hit this Thunder Wave, like, they are really going to have to flip some coins in the next couple of turns, and that's the value of Thunder Wave over something like the Scary Face, right? The other value of Thunder Wave is that you can also use it against something like Dragapult, for example, whereas, you know, Clear Body, obviously, does exist on Pokemon like Dragapult and Metagross, for example. So let's hope we hit this Thunder Wave. Okay, we connect, which is nice. Lumberry would be very interesting here. Otherwise, I'd expect Life Orb. It is Lum! Okay. It's gonna go for a Max Knuckle. Is that enough to KO, though, is the question. No, it's not. So we can Thunder Wave it again, but hey, this is getting really scary really quickly, right? Like, they have a boosted Kangaskhan now. It's probably Fake Out Last Resort, to be honest. Yeah, this is actually getting really scary. It's a really sick Blaziken set. The thing is, we just have to stall out Dynamax and then Moltres should sweep, but by playing a little bit passively here in the early game, my opponent put themselves in a really awesome position. If I'm my opponent, I'm probably going to go Fake Out here. You could just Fake Out onto Grim, right? And then target Spectrier. Man, Fake Out actually really hurts here. I don't want to just lose both Pokemon. So I'm going to go into Sylveon here. And we probably won't get this Will-O-Wisp buff, but the switches by my opponents have actually been perfect. And Blaziken's looking real scary right now. It is Fake Out. Yeah, okay, onto Grim. And they go for another Knuckle. That's a little bit greedy, actually. Okay. It's actually a really big deal they didn't just go for a knockout onto Spectre there. They probably just didn't think Spectre is a big threat at all at this point, right? It's going to be a Fake Out Last Resort Kangaskhan, presumably. We hit the Will-O-Wisp, which is huge. Okay, nice. Because the thing is, now, yeah, even if your Blaziken has all of these increased stages of attack, like, you're still not going to one-shot a Dynamax Moltres, right? And that's, like, the main thing here. So, I'm just going to protect the Sylveon here. They're probably going to flare into this, but that's fine. Protect Sylveon. We are running out of turns of screens, which is scary. But I think it's fine to protect here and go for... I think we'll just sack this at this point, right? I wish we had Quick Attack, because then Shadow Ball into Quick Attack actually may be enough for a KO. I don't think Hyper Voice KOs Blaziken from this range anyway, so it doesn't make that much sense. But yeah, my opponent played this Blaziken really, really well, honestly, so kudos to them. I actually think Taunt is our best option in a Blaziken, although it's not. I don't think it's gonna have Protect actually. It could be Swords Dance, a Fire type attack, Fighting type attack, Protect though. So yeah, they're gonna go for the Flare finally. Yeah, and they target Sylveon. Okay, probably Last Resort then. I mean, this is just scary because I'm actually playing from super, super behind right now. Yep, so it is Last Resort as expected. That will probably still KO, yeah. That makes sense, though. Yeah, that way you can actually guarantee 2 KOs, whereas I'm not sure Last Resort would have KO'd Sylveon from the range we were at. Okay. Now, we bring out Moltres. Like I said, it's just a little bit scary because this is, what, +5 Blaziken in Sun now? I just took a little bit too much damage throughout the course of this game, I think. Fini could have helped a little bit. I have multiple turns of Reflect left still, but, like, how much faith do I actually have in that? That's the question. I think we switch out here, because there's not much use for Grimmsnarl at this point. We can max and go for an Airstream here onto Blaziken, but I don't know. Flare Blitz and Sun, like, plus the Last Resort, you can pretty easily double up onto Moltres right now. So I could have protected Moltres and Hyper Voice, but then... Oh, that's a really risky play. If you don't... Like, you have to cover for that option, right? Because I have 2 things that can KO you right now. But the thing is, even if Flare Blitz Last Resort does like 90%, as long as we survive, we get a speed boost, like, I honestly feel okay. And if they didn't double up onto Moltres, then we're even in better shape. So, let's see. Yep, there's Blitz. That was a lot of damage. I mean, did they double up onto it? They did just activate Berserk. Presumably, Kangaskhan will be faster here. Oh, no, they're not faster with Kangaskhan. Wow, okay. So we get Max Airstream off. So we're probably good here then. But, I mean, that was a very, very scary Blaziken. I guess Heliolisk could maybe still be faster here as well. There's no way it's faster. No. Unless it's Scarf Heliolisk. If I want to cover for that, the best play might be to actually max guard Moltres here, because I don't know if we need all our turns of max right now anyway. There's only one turn of Light Screen left, too. We're not going to Reflect or Thunder. I mean, Spirit Break's our only option here, so it's Spirit Break Heliolisk. The thing is whether or not I should be worried about Scarf Heliolisk. Is there anything in the game, early game, that indicated that it might be Scarf? I could honestly see him being Scarf, that's the thing. But then, I'm not sure Heliolisk will even KO Moltres. I think the best play is to Spirit Break Heliolisk here in Max Guard. Especially with Berserk being activated on Moltres. Okay, yep, they go for Discharge. I think we survived that with Light Screen, but I'm not 100% sure. Let's find out. It's enough for the KO. Okay. You're gonna Surf. I guess we might just be faster anyway. Even with Scarf. So I could have just maxed Darkness. I don't know. Like, Light Screen does wear off now, but I think we would have fainted to Discharge anyway, so I don't mind going... Well, yeah, I just wasn't sure that Discharge would actually KO us there. I could also see it being Specs. Like, that's the other big possibility. So I think here we're just going to Hyper Voice and Darkness. I don't remember Heliolisk's base speed off the top of my head. That's the other problem. But I think if we outspeed here... Okay, we do outspeed, so we're good anyway. This should KO. Now we have a special defense drop onto Lanturn. Lanturn is very defensive, but it doesn't do enough damage here. I mean, dude, this was actually so well played by my opponent, though. Like, the big thing here in the end was us outspeeding, right? Yeah, Hyper Voice does enough. Oh, actually, it does less than 50, but they Eerie Impulse. I mean, this Lanturn's clearly super, super supportive. Yeah, I'm really interested in the Kangaskhan speed, then. Because our Moltres isn't max speed. So if Kangaskhan outsped us there and actually doubled up onto us, I mean, it's the same speed stat, base speed stat. And this Moltres is, what, only has 132 speed EVs, and it's not max speed either. So if I had to guess, my opponent was probably max HP, max attack on Kangaskhan, but I think, like, 90 is actually such a big speed tier stat to hit. Now we can just Fiery Wrath and Hyper Voice. I mean, yeah, this is why you never want to underestimate, like, anything, right? I just, like... didn't know what the clear setup from my opponent's team would be, but I should have guessed Swords Dance Blaziken. Swords Dance was the difference maker, right? If you don't have Swords Dance there, then Blaziken can't snowball as quickly, but they actually got Blaziken out in a perfect position, had the Lumberry on it as well, so then I couldn't paralyze it. I mean, that was as close as it gets, and if Kangaskhan outsped us, well, Moltres would have fainted to a double up there. Now, granted, they'd have to make the double up, because like I said, one play I could have made that turn was Max Guard Moltres and Hyper Voice, but the reality is that there was an opportunity for my opponent to actually win that game on that turn if they made the right read and if they were faster. Now, in the end, we ended up being faster, and that was really, really critical. I also really need to double-check Heliolisk's speed, because I think Scarf is not, like, a crazy assumption. Yeah, it is base 109, right? So, if you are Scarf there, then even with the speed boost on Moltres, you outspeed. Do we see its item? I don't think so, right? Just making sure I didn't, like, miss anything blatantly obvious. Either way, that was a really cool team, so kudos to my opponent. They played that really well. Like, this is the thing about VGC, right? Setup is so important. It's funny because I was vying for a free, position to get Moltres into setup, but the thing is they got their main setup mon in the Blaziken out first, and that was just really well played on their end. So, yeah. Anyway, we have some pretty similar teams here, but they have Gengar and Garchomp. It's a fun throwback. I mean, I loved using those in, like, 2012, 13, 15. So, okay. We got Spectre with Snarl, which is neat. They also have Grimmsnarl, though. Oh, that could be a little bit tricky. Battle of the Moltreses. Yawn could be really good for us into Moltres here if they want to max their Moltres. Just have to ask myself what the clear path to victory is here. Could be Fini, but if they lead Gengar, that's a problem. I mean, I think we're probably just going to both lead our Grimmsnarls. I kind of like Grim Spectre here, because if they play carelessly, like well, with Spectre, I'm just worried about them leading Moltres. The thing is, if they lead Moltres, like Fini or Sylveon would be great here, but then these are a little bit subpar. Maybe Sylveon's fine, actually, because we have really strong Hyper Voices, and then we do have Babiri Berry as well. Okay. Go with those. I don't know how I feel about this. Team Preview was really tough here, in the sense that I think all of our mons were really good, so I don't know what the correct answers were. Because I think you could make such a good argument for Fini and Spectre as well, but the reason I didn't like bringing Spectre is because if I lead it, my opponent leads Moltres, that's really bad for us, and I'm forced to switch it out. And with Finis on both sides, the odds of getting Will-O-Wisp off feel somewhat slim. But this is exactly where Spectre could have helped us out, which is hilarious. So that's why Team Preview is always tough, right? Like, if you ever feel like it's difficult to call, like, don't worry. It's not just you. Like, it's very difficult. I'm still okay with this because I think I can just reflect turn 1 and go for a Yawn. And if they didn't bring Fini, then the Metagross just falls asleep after turn 1. Now, what could be scary is, I guess, Fake Out Steel Spike, and Steel Spike KOs even through Babiri? I don't think it would, though. So, yeah, the upside is if I led Spectre, I could have just gone for Will-O-Wisp, although then I suppose they could have maybe brought Fini out in the back on their end. So then I could have led my Metagross. But then if we both lead Grid Metagross, that gets really dicey really quickly. And we're not weakness policy, whereas they probably are. Okay, so they're going to max. Okay, let's see. I mean, their Grim could also have Sucker Punch here. Self-Sucker Punch and a weakness policy. That'd be really strong here. So I think, I haven't been playing this super well in the sense that my opponents often have been in a position to get set up, like, boosts off before I can get boosts off. They don't go for a Fake Out, though, so we at least get Reflect off, which is a good start. But I really think it might be Self-Sucker Punch here. No, they just go for Light Screen. Okay, that's probably the best case. And they're going to Steel Spike into Grim, it looks like. Okay, that's fine. Nice. At this point, like, what I want to play towards is basically Galarian Moltres, right? They're going to end up spending 3 turns of max on Metagross to just pick up 1 KO. And quite frankly, if they don't have Fini in the back right now, they're in really, really bad shape. But let's just set up a Light Screen right now, guarantee that we get both screens up. And I'm fine to just Hyper Voice in this position. It gets a little bit of chip damage off. If you don't have Fini, I think we're in a game-winning position already off turn 1 Yawn. That's why Yawn is such a good move. So, let's see. They don't switch into Fini, so unless it's Lumberry here, or... Oh, Self T-Wave would be really cool. Oh, they have Max Lightning. Okay, that's the other solution. But the thing is, you don't do that much damage there, right? So, like, my opponents... If you're running Max Lightning, it could actually be AV Metagross then. Because you typically don't have space to fit that into a slot. So that's pretty neat. Okay, and they're just going to Spare Break. Presumably to KO the Grimmsnarl here. Yep. Gives me a free switch in, though. Who do I want to go into? Pretty easy to just go into Moltres. If I go into Moltres, like, I can bait them to activating our weakness policy. I also have Babiri on this thing, so that's valuable. We have options right now, for sure. I think we also need to be a little bit wary and try to conserve our Sylveon, right? Okay, I don't mind going to Moltres. The reason why we want to conserve our Sylveon is because we know my opponent has a Moltres potentially on their side, right? Yeah, if this is Max Lightning, I don't know. I think there's a decent chance. Maybe you just drop Ice or a Rock type attack, but Lightning is pretty tough to fit onto movesets typically. I could double protect pretty easily here. The play I lean towards is actually switching... Did they have Reflect up yet? No, they don't. It's greedy to Nasty Plot here in case they actually double up onto Moltres, so I'm going to protect here and switch out into Metagross. Now, this protect is fairly obvious, so it's like I could have made a game-winning play by just going for Nasty Plot outright here, but it also could be a game-losing play if they... And if they misplay here and Max Lightning into Moltres, like, that insta-wins us the game, I think, because it just activates our policy. But I don't mind making this switch. I think it's relatively safe unless they Max Quake Sylveon. They actually Light Screen again, so maybe forgetting they've set it up already, and they're just going to Steel Spike. But that's fine by me, right? Like, now your Max is over. I have Reflect up and Light Screen up on my end. I get Metagross out safely against Grimmsnarl. And then now I could actually maybe Nasty Plot here. This is what I was saying, though. I could have Nasty Plotted last turn, but now I'm less scared because your Dynamax is over, right? And I have something that threatens Grimmsnarl significantly. So, I'm content to just go for a plot right now. And we have Meteor Mash, so we can just mash into Grimmsnarl. That feels fine to me. So, as I always talk about, you know, if you can put yourself in a position to Dynamax after your opponent, and you're not at much risk of just losing your Maxmon immediately, then you're often going to be in a really good spot. Now, that last game, we weren't really in that good of a spot because we didn't know if the Kangaskhan was going to be slower or faster than the Moltres, but right now I feel okay. I guess the one thing I have to worry about is Metagross, like, critting Thunder Punch into Moltres, but with Reflect Up, like, we shouldn't take that much. I guess the fear is just, like, eating up too much damage on a Maxmon, on a Mon that we want to max. But I think it's fine. It gets the ball rolling, and with Nasty Plot, we're looking really good. Whereas, like, I'm not sure we would have KO'd Metagross with Max Darkness here anyway, and we still want to be wary of Weakness Policy Metagross. Okay, we actually go first with our Metagross, which is nice too. So we'll get Meteor Mash off. Not enough for a KO with the defense boosts. That's fine. They are going to Thunder Punch this time around. Yep. Activates Berserk and Weakness Policy. So I was talking about how it's kind of rare to get to +5 with Moltres, but that's +5 in one turn. So that's nice. Okay, now the main thing to think about is whether or not there are things that can outspeed Moltres in the back. That's a significant threat. The main thing is probably just Garchomp with Rock Slide, but that's not really that scary, to be honest. Yeah, wow, the fact we actually got to +5 is awesome. The main thing is, like, it might be better to Airstream, but I don't want to Airstream and activate a policy on this thing, right? So here I don't mind just maxing Max Darkness into Metagross and Meteor Mash again into Grimmsnarl. Yeah, I think with screens up, we don't need to Airstream this turn. See, the thing is, if I went for Nasty Plot, my opponent made the correct play of, you know, Max Steel Spiking onto the Sylveon, the Metagross switch out, and I think, like, that is just their best option typically, but you don't, like, typically want to gamble the game away on a turn if you don't need to, right? So, like, yeah, I could have gone for Nasty Plot that turn, but if they went Max Lightning Spirit Break into Moltres, and I agreed that, the game just feels over instantly. Oh, and it's actually, okay, so it's not AV Metagross, wow. They have Sucker Punch, too. They had Sucker Punch this whole time, huh. That's fascinating. Okay. Because that means they had the opportunity to just go for Sucker Punch, activate Policy on Metagross at any point in this game. I actually think I would have liked Bullet Punch. Like, I don't mind missing Meteor Mash right now. If we miss Meteor Mash, I actually think that wins us the game. But we're going to connect. Maybe you can survive. Nah, I don't think so. It's pretty low. Okay. Because this does grant my opponent a free switch in now, right? And I was hoping to... Actually, not picking up the double KO might benefit us here, because once again, they don't have that much that actually threatens our Moltres. Like, Moltres is just so set up right now. Okay, they bring in Fini. Yeah, that's fine. I guess the thing is, Fini does have Moonblast here. We have +5 Airstream. They do have a bunch of stages of defense on this thing. +2, and Reflect, so... I don't think Metagross is KOing them. We have Sylveon in the back. I don't think Moonblast KOs us with Light Screen being up, though. I guess the one thing I'm worried about is it being spexed. But, like, I think our play here is to Airstream Metagross. That covers for a switch out into anything. I kind of want to go for a Rock Slide here, because I think the damage output against Fini is negligible anyway, and if we flinch here, it's an insta-win, basically. My opponent's made some really good plays to keep themselves in this one, honestly. Okay, so that's a KO. Yeah, the other question is whether or not your specs Fini. I just like giving Metagross a speed boost in this position, but Moonblast shouldn't KO Moltres unless they're specs. So, let's see. And this is why I went for Rock Slide. Like, it's basically a 27% chance, you know, hitting the Rock Slide and flinch included to just insta-win. No flinch. And that's enough! Okay. I mean, this is the downside of setup, right? We get crit. If I see lefties here, I'm going to be so sad. Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, there's no way that ever KOs without that crit. Ugh. But, like, the odds of that turn are so slim, right? They have to avoid a flinch, and they have to crit onto Moltres. Like, that's their win condition. If they don't get that, it should just be game over, because we have a speed boost on both. It's really upsetting, but we can still win this. Gengar's their last one, but we have a speed boost right now, and we have AV, so this is definitely very far from over still. Okay. I think here I'm just going to go for Hyper Voice and the Stomping Tantrum onto Gengar. Alternatively, I can actually Protect here, especially because we're AV. Okay, yeah, let's not tilt, because, like, yes, we had the game won already, but now we just have to play out of the position we're in. I don't know if Stomping plus Bullet Punch KOs. I guess that's my main fear. Oh, no, but I should outspeed. Yeah, I should outspeed Gengar. And Shadow Ball, Muddy Water should definitely not KO Metagross. Okay, so let's see. The thing is, now Calm Mind Fini becomes a oh, they're still faster. Okay, never mind. I thought with the speed boost we'd outspeed. It's a lot of damage. If I Hyper Voice there, could we have won? No, I don't think I would have KO'd Gengar anyway. They go for Muddy Water, okay. Does hit. Can't lower our accuracy, but we're AV, so I faint to another Shadow Ball. I don't think Hyper Voice would have KO'd there anyway. This is going to be close, but I think it favors my opponent, because I don't think Bullet Punch KOs Gengar from the range that it's at, unfortunately. So their last turn a Light Screen. Yeah, I'm going to Hyper Voice here and Bullet Punch. Such an unfortunate crit, but that's what happens if you... Like, crits... I don't know. I didn't put myself in a position to play around a crit in that position. Yeah, Gengar hangs on with just a sliver, too. They do go for Sludge Bomb, though. Okay. So they could very easily lose off Muddy Water misses right now, but they also double hit. Oh, what a frustrating game. Sylveon hangs on, but yeah, at this point they outspeed. I'm okay with how this played out, though, because quite frankly, if that crit doesn't happen, we just 100% win the game. Because at that point, we have a faster Moltres, and then I can just Airstream Stomping the next turn. Yeah, so... The question is always, though, can you put yourself in a position where you don't have to risk getting crit? I like the line of the path I took in this game. I also could have Hyper Voice last turn, though. Like, they went for the correct Shadow Ball target into me, but I don't think we had enough damage into Fini with multiple screens still being up. And they hit every single Muddy Water and got the crit onto Moltres. So I'm just thinking what other line we could have taken. I don't know, I'm pretty pleased about how I played this. It's just, like, the odds of that crit through Rock Slide is just so slim. But you always want to look for, like, 100% path to victory. I don't know what that path was. Like, once again, you never want to throw the game. I guess the turn that they actually had Protect on Metagross, I could have Airstreamed. I could have Airstreamed into Grimmsnarl there. But I think it's fine to Darkness into Metagross there. Yeah, it's just surprising they had Sucker Punch this entire... Okay, I also want to actually do the calc and confirm Moonblast wasn't KOing us. We were at like 40%, but like we had Light Screen up, so I really don't think so. Fini, Moonblast against Galarian Moltres, Dynamaxed, Max HP. Yeah, it does 18 to 22% through Light Screen. And we were at, like, what, 40, essentially. Or, like, 35. And if you crit the Moonblast, yeah. That feels so bad, but it is what it is. Like, one thing, like, also I have to commend my opponent for is that they recognize what outs they had to play towards, right? Alright, last one of the day here. We got Titlin stuff, Torkoal, Venu, Sun... Thundurus is scary for sure. AV Metagross feels okay, but Entei's a really big threat to it. Like, I think we'd probably want to just set up screens early. I think I like Grim plus Spectre here, because we can Snarl or Will-O-Wisp things. Moltres in the back for sure. I don't know how valuable AV Metagross is here for us. Fini helps to set up terrain, but it's actually not that valuable, because Moltres is the main thing we want to max anyway. I guess they could bring Urshifu. Like, Moltres is clearly the win con here. I think this team is very centered around it. Fini and Meta in the back. I'm gonna go with Fini here, just because they have so many fire types. And with screens up, it can definitely hold its own. Could be a late game win con with with the Calm Minds as well, because Whim, Entei, and Torkoal can't do anything against Fini, right? So Fini actually basically wins against all of those. Venu and Thundurus are obviously significantly scarier, but that's okay. Whimsicott and Entei. Okay, that's pretty interesting. I don't really care about Tailwind too much, like that's fine. Passive positions like this actually can typically give us an advantage because it gives us an opportunity to get Moltres in a Nasty Plot. I have Snarl here, I have Shadow Ball. Their team is pretty... No, it's mixed between special and physical. Could be Eruption Entei. So I don't know whether or not I want to Light Screen or Reflect here to start off the game. And I got also... Okay, I think we switch out into Fini immediately, actually. Yeah, I like that. Okay, let's go for Reflect here. Actually, I like Light Screen just because there's Whimsicott and it could be Moonblasting us. And switch out into Fini. So this is the value of bringing Fini. I could Calm Mind with it immediately. And Fini... Well, what would my opponent have in the back? Torkoal Venus? What I feel like makes the most sense. Max Entei here could be really interesting, although you don't see that too often. No way. Whoa. Just as I said that. That's actually a really good max, because if it was like supportive Entei, I feel like Moltres just or Fini can set up way too quickly. So now I'm curious if, like, it's probably a double up onto Grimmsnarl then, if I had to guess. I'm fine with them Tailwinding, because I was never KOing Whimsicott on turn 1 anyway. And if I can get both screens up, that'd be huge. Either way, I think we should survive a Max Flare from Life Orb Entei, even if it's physical. Ooh, Max Quake, okay. Yeah, special defense boost, that's smart. Nice, okay, that's definitely coming from what, Snarl? Or sorry, not Snarl. Wait. What is that coming from? That did no damage. Okay. Isn't it normally... It could be Bulldoze, but we set up Light Screen. I guess they did it just for the special defense boost, which honestly makes some sense. Either way, I'll just go for Reflect here. I think they're probably going to go for a Taunt onto Fini, but I'm going to try to punish them if they don't by going for a Calm Mind. So it is special. Huh, interesting. Maybe Reflect was kind of a waste this turn. I also could have protected Fini, but I didn't want to get doubled up onto Entei, and I really don't think Entei can KO us here. Max Overgrowth. What in the world? Does that KO? Let's see. No, it doesn't. Alright, I mean, that's 2 turns of their max over already, and they can't fake tears. Like, once again, we're just stalling out their max so we can bring out Moltres, Nasty Plot once or twice, and then try to sweep with it, so... Very fascinating set, though. Now we have Leftovers and Grassy Terrain Recovery, which is also nice. What Grass-type attack does Entei even get? Solar Beam? That's my best bet. Protect this next turn is pretty obvious, but I... -1 Spadef, +1 special attack, +1 Spadef, +1 Spadef. We can't go... Oh, we can Thunder Wave right now, actually. Hold on. That's kind of interesting. Oh, it doesn't matter, though. They have Tailwind up. So what's the point, other than going for a full para roll? Protect on Fini is just so obvious, I kind of don't want to go for it. 2 turns of Tailwind. We just want to make sure they don't get another Tailwind up in this game. Okay, so Spirit Break here onto Whim. I'm down to double up onto it because I think I can see my opponent doubling up onto Grimm here in this position. Blast. Yeah, into Grimm, okay. Max Flare, yeah. We might survive this too with Light Screen. I'm not 100% sure though. Nice. Huge double. Yeah, huge survival there actually. Wow. This is what I was saying as we were talking about the teams, though, like, going into the series. Like, you could see a lot of interesting mons that don't normally max. Like, that's, I think, a really big meta adaptation. People realizing, hey, let's take something that doesn't max too frequently and actually turn it into a max threat, like Entei or Regieleki, for example. So the good thing about this is that they have one more turn of Tailwind, to which I could just protect. Grassy Terrain plus Leftovers means Fini is actually healing up really, really quickly. And then I can Thunder Wave with Grimmsnarl, too. And I still have my max to play with. That's the biggest thing, right? Their max Entei ended up not picking up a knockout onto a single thing, which was a really big deal. So that's why I didn't want to protect last turn. Wanted to guarantee that Whimsicott's Sash was broken, because then we leave the early game pretty positive, I would say. Alright, they bring out Urshifu. Urshifu's a little bit scary, because well, does it KO us with Wicked Blow? I don't feel like it does. Either way, we're going to T-Wave here into Entei. And while protecting against Urshifu typically isn't recommended, it probably is Solar Beam Entei here, and since it's the last turn of Tailwind, if we protect here, then we outspeed with Fini next turn because of Thunder Wave. So, it's probably AV Entei, right? I like T-Wave and protect here. Either way, I think Moltres wins this game by itself anyway at this point. If they went for Wicked Blow, good for them, but we still get the Paralysis onto Entei, which is really critical. Ah, I missed T-Wave though, okay. They just go for an Eruption. Oof, that's a really frustrating miss, but it's okay. Yeah, I don't think Wicked Blow KOs us. But we'll see. KO would actually be really big for them here. Oh, it does. Okay. Ah, it's a really frustrating miss, because if we don't miss that, we can just outspeed with both Pokemon. Okay, whatever. Definitely not our luckiest episode with the crit and the last one and the miss here, but just have to play out of it. I think the problem here is, though, what is the problem? I can't Nasty Plot very easily right now, can I? Well, I still have screens up, right? So let's think about that. What I want to do is Plot and Will-O-Wisp here. What are the odds of it being Scarf Entei? Because it outsped the Urshifu. No, Entei's pretty fast. I don't know. I don't think it is. I have Snarl as well. If you're my opponent, you just Eruption here and KO Spec, right? I don't know if Nasty Plot's the right play. It might be to just max Airstream immediately, because they're pretty weak to Moltres anyway in this endgame. So I think I am just going to max Airstream here. I went for Snarl. Okay, if I also could have just not protected Fini there, that wouldn't have made a difference because Wicked Blow KO'd us anyway. So I didn't know what the Entei moveset would be fully. Now, Entei damage-wise isn't that scary in this late game. I'm just worried about Venusaur being in the back and then they just hit a Sleep Powder to win the game. Yeah, okay, so they're not Scarf Entei. So Snarl here is nice, right? Breaks Sash on Urshifu. Actually, is it going to be... It's probably Banded Urshifu. I just realized that, right? That would explain how it KO'd Fini. I didn't even think about that as an option. For Banded, I don't know. I really want the speed boost here. It just very much comes down to what their last one is. Like, if it's Torkoal, I think we win. If it's Venu, then it's contingent off them hitting a Sleep Powder and multiple turns of sleep. Thundurus is probably the scariest thing here, but it's pretty rare to bring regular Thundurus as your last option. If we didn't miss T-Wave... actually, I don't think it makes much of a difference other than the full para rolls. But my opponent, yeah, just picked up 3 knockouts very, very quickly, and I shouldn't have given it to them as quickly as they got it, right? So I'm hoping to see Torkoal as the last one, because I think if it's Torkoal, we definitely win. But they correctly brought Thundurus. Wow, well done. So here's the thing. We actually need them to activate our weakness policy for us right now. If I go for Max Darkness, we'll activate Defiant, and that's really bad for us. So in this position, we're actually going to Max Airstream to Thundurus, hoping that they activate our weakness policy for us. And if they activate our weakness policy by going for Wild Charge, we have Reflect up. Airstream actually did pretty good damage there, so I'm thinking Darkness just KOs next turn. But we cannot activate Defiant this turn. They go for Fly, but I'm actually okay with that. Yeah, another Eruption. Yeah, I'm okay with that, because the thing is now we can just max Darkness Entei. No more grassy terrain. And I guess I do activate Defiant, though, on the way down. I think I have to, though. We go for Darkness into Fiery Wrath. If they miss Fly, too, that would be huge, but there's really no way around that. The thing is, now they have a special defense drop, right? So I can Fiery Wrath, but I might just take too much damage from this double up now by activating Defiant. But the thing is, Fiery Wrath isn't KOing Thundurus anyway. Fly does hit. Alright, that didn't do that much. Now they've activated Berserk as well. So Fiery Wrath, I think, double KOs next turn if they don't KO us outright here. And they just keep going for Eruption, okay. Nice. Sunlight fades. This is a close finish for sure. They played around weakness policy really smartly, and the fact they actually brought Thundurus in the back was very, very smart by them as well. Last turn light screen, +1 special attack, -1 special defense. Oh no, this is at neutral. Ooh, I don't think we KO them, but I don't know if they can KO us, given their moveset. If they went for Eruption last turn, I feel like that indicates to me that's their best play. So we're gonna go for Fiery Wrath here. I don't even know if this KO's Thundurus if it's Assault Vested, but... Okay, Entei hangs on. That's a little scary. Can it KO us right now? No, they just go for Eruption. Wow. This was a wild set of games, but that was a really fun way to kick off the season. Max Entei was wild, and I felt like I had really good control of the game, but then they just managed to pick up so many knockouts so quickly. I do want to do the calc. Well, first, let's just finish off this game. We always Fiery Wrath. You can throw the game by missing Air Slash. Given that they had a ground type attack and a grass type attack, like, yeah, I think Eruption's their only fire type attack. Otherwise, you definitely would have gone for something else. So, Fini, Urshifu. Fini was at like 60-70%. And I didn't even think about the fact that they had a Whimsicott on their team. So, because they had Whimsicott, then, you know, makes sense for Wicked Blow into Fini on a crit. Does 24-28. Oh wait, how much defense do we have? Do we have any? No, it's just max HP, 0 defense. 46-54. It did more than that, right? I thought we were at like 60 plus HP. I might be wrong. I'd have to double check that, but Banded Urshifu would make a lot of sense there. So let's say it was Banded. I had no counterplay that turn anyway then. I would just lose both Pokemon. Counterplay would be to switch out. But I don't really want to switch out Spectre or Moltres in that position. Especially because Moltres is the late game win con. So, yeah, that was really, really close. If they had another fire type attack on Entei, I think they could have won. And the Fly was really, really smart as well, rather than Wild Charge. Because if you Wild Charge and activate Policy, the game is definitely over at that point. We didn't want to max Darkness twice. You definitely never want to max Darkness before they go for Fly, because you can just lose the game off Wild Charge instantly. Like, they went for their best possible play, and we still ended up winning. So, but it's just scary, because Entei could have, sealed it up if they had, like, another strong fire type attack. But that's the thing. It looked like Entei just had no damage output into Moltres in the late game, and as soon as my opponent commits the max Thundurus, that's really good for us with Moltres. So, yeah. Either way, that was a really, really wild set of games to start our time off with this team, and to start off the new series. So, thanks so much as always for watching. Team details are in the description below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. Alright, peace.